everyone. Awesome. So Graham said he may be a little bit late. So how about, should we order these? Ruben, do you want to kick us off?
Oh, I thought there was a point before me. Oh, that
There is.
was
I'm just moving it. There was. There's not anymore.
okay. So I recently created a new Slack app, and we can use that to replace our existing legacy integration. So what we currently use is GitLab ChatOps, which is a legacy integration, and it's deprecated. So I just wanted to discuss the steps to replace that legacy integration with the new Slack app. So one thing that we'll need to replace is the webhooks. Webhooks can be replaced with the with using the chat.post message API, because it's the same thing. You hit the webhook, a message gets posted. You hit the chat.post message API, a message gets posted to Slack. So if no one outside release tools is using the webhook, then we could just eliminate the use of webhooks and use the API for everything. But I'm not sure if anyone outside the release tools is using the webhook. So maybe we should just replace it with the new Slack app and then worry about that separately. I'll just run through all the points. Oh, go ahead, Alison.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask a question here because I'm not really familiar with how these things got integrated. So when we're talking about the new application and all those tokens, we are just talking about our ChatOps repository on Ops, right? So it's only when a user writes something in Slack that wants to trigger ChatOps, is not the other way around.
So it's a little confusing because the bot itself is named ChatOps, and the ChatOps command that we run is also ChatOps. So what I'm looking to replace right now is the token that we use to post messages, that release tools uses to post messages to Slack, not the ChatOps / command. Yeah, eventually we could replace that also, but that's separate. Sorry.
Okay. So no, then I have a follow-up question, which is, if I understood, then when we want to write a Slack message from release tools, let's say from something that is, it's a pipeline job, not something that started as a ChatOps command, right? We have an API integration of some sort. And this is the thing that we are changing. So this right now, this is using the legacy integration and is using webhooks on Slack, not GitLab webhooks. This is Slack webhooks. Okay, correct. So my question then is, do we really care if someone else is using this? Because if someone else is using this, they will continue using the old legacy application, and our code base will use the new one, and this should not break the old one. Question mark.
Yeah, but that assumes that we keep the legacy integration semi-permanently. So I'm assuming that after we replace the use of the legacy integration, we will look to remove it completely. So yeah, I guess technically,
I'm expecting that there are metrics somewhere in Slack where we can see, say, last time someone interacted with this integration. So let's say we change the token. If we are the only user, then the usage should drop, and we see, okay, 1 week time after that, we moved from 1,000 of call a week to 0. Say, okay, fine, we can remove it, and we can still broadcast this information a bit more verbally, right? Because no one is, I mean, if this is being deprecated, it will be removed no matter what. So we just say, let's do our stuff. Let's make sure that everything is fine. And then we can see, we are planning to remove this because of deprecation. We are quite sure that we were the only user, but hey teams, if someone knows it is using this thing, there's a grace period of 1 month, then we're going to remove it.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, we could replace ours and then check if any metrics are available to see if it's still being used. Yeah.
I also have a question. So we have a new Slack app, which is called ChatOps. So this is just something we created new in Slack, right? Did we do this, or who did this?
I created the Slack app. Yeah.
But we only use it to send messages from release tools to Slack, right? We don't use it to enter a ChatOps command in Slack and then to cause any action, or?
Yeah, the new one currently is not being used for anything, not even for sending messages.
Yeah.
But we want to start using that for sending messages, not for the / command. We could eventually use it.
Could we rename it maybe? Because if it's named ChatOps, it's super confusing because we have ChatOps being used by entering something in Slack and then causing actions, right? Which is real ChatOps, I think. And now we have an app which is called ChatOps, which we intend to use sending messages from our application into Slack, but not to trigger actions via Slack, right? So maybe we could rename it so it's not that confusing.
Yeah, definitely. I realized after I named the app, hopefully I can rename it without an access request. But yeah, we should rename it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a good name for it, but I think that
Even release tools app.
Yeah, something like that maybe.
Do you want to create an epic as well? Maybe we've been around sort of replacing ChatOps or whatever, like you want to sort of categorize this as, so that we can have it makes it a bit more visible, but also any issues like this one, like how do we deprecate, like do we have metrics and all of those sorts of things we can just gather as issues against an epic.
Yeah, makes sense. I'll open an epic.
Awesome, thanks a lot.
Okay, so the next one is pretty simple. We currently, for the chat.postMessage API, we use a Slack token variable. It's set, you can see it, it's set in the ops mirror of release tools under CI/CD settings, CI/CD variables. So we just replace that token with a token from the new app, and that should work. That should be a drop-in replacement. And the last point is about the / commands. So we currently have the ChatOps / command, which goes to the ChatOps repo. Would it be beneficial for us to have another / command which goes directly to release tools? So we could possibly use this new app for that.
I mean, eventually we probably do, because I think so. The motivation behind this is that I guess we want to make sure we don't get deprecated, right? Like that's the key thing. So I think like if there are things we have to move for that, let's plan those. If there are things that, having done those pieces, make it a little bit tidier, we can, I'd say, get an issue and we can review those afterwards.
Yeah, I was thinking of we have an issue where we have an issue for creating a coordinator pipeline using a ChatOps command. Now I don't remember what is the blocker there. I remember that there is some blocker. So I don't know if having a / command which goes directly to release tools will help with that as well. So I wanted to ask if anyone remembers.
No, it should be unrelated. The problem there is that there's no way to externally trigger a coordinated pipeline just because it's designed to run on tags. So there's the extra complexity. It's more than this. It's just like, how can we rerun a coordinated pipeline from a tag that already exists? And it was framed as ChatOps driven deployment just because before we could run a ChatOps deployment giving an array of environment. Yeah, that being said, back to your point, I know that I don't know if it's one of the reasons, because I wasn't involved back then. But one of the things that we have in place in the link between ChatOps and release tools being a triggered pipeline instead of a new / command was that there are some restriction around who can run certain tasks, and this things I don't remember if we call this rake without or things like that. So I don't know if it was just something like we already have ChatOps. There are some libraries that we wrote for the ChatOps project, so we just want to reuse them and then trigger and don't have to re-implement everything on release tools, or if there are other reasons behind this. But this is something to keep in mind. There are some extra layers of security, especially for tagging commands, I think. So random engineers cannot tag a release. They have to be release manager. They're part to be of the delivery team.
Okay. But it does seem like some commands could be simplified, because currently some commands that go to ChatOps don't have all the the library, the classes and all that we have in release tools. So then you have to trigger rake command in release tools and stuff like that. So okay, we can discuss in the issue then.
Awesome. Graham, you have next point.
So a very quick one, and it's kind of like a long time coming and also been kind of a bit of a broken wheel at this point. But, we have a lot of scattered issues and a lot of ideas, especially from myself. I've put a lot of tickets in about like, let's do X to make the GitLab com repo better. But taking a step back, I've tried to change the approach for this to make it more trying to identify the problems before proposing a solution to tackle them. So I'm sure everyone's interested in this. I'm sure everyone probably has opinions. So I've put an issue there that just try and capture all the problems we have with the K8s workloads, GitLab com repo specifically, the tanker deployments, the GitLab Helm files repos. Those are kind of out of scope. I'm more interested in just the GitLab com repo specifically. What are all the problems we have with it? What are the frustrations we have? It's not completely fleshed out yet. I will continue to try and iterate on it over the coming days. If you know of incidents or issues that are related to any of these points, feel free to drop them in. Any other problems you have, just everything you can think of. Let's get it all together in one issue we're tracking and keeping focused on. And then we can kind of use that to define a solution or an epic or some improvements coming out of that. And I have pretty strong ideas as to what I want to do to how to fix those things. But once again, I'm going to hold judgment and putting those out too much until we just collectively agree on what the problems are, and then we can kind of go from there about how we might tackle that.
Awesome. Thanks for putting this together, Graham. And this is super timely. Q2 starts in 3 weeks. So over the next few weeks, we will be figuring out like, what do we want to work on in Q2? Which problems do we want to solve? So I think this could be a really great problem for us to consider as one of our Q2 OKRs. I know we have a lot of other things as well. So this doesn't have to be like, we shouldn't consider other things, but getting like input from everyone so that we can like sort of figure out what the first iteration could be would be a great goal to have. Awesome. Is there any other stuff that anyone wants to discuss, or anything around release management, MTTP, or any other topics? Yep. Okay, I should stop the recording.